The wind howled through the mountain pass like a wounded animal, carrying with it the scent of pine and impending snow. Sarah Brennan stumbled over another rock, her torn skirts catching on the undergrowth as she fled deeper into the wilderness. Behind her, somewhere in the darkness, she could still hear them, her father's men, tracking her like hounds after a fox. Her lungs burned with each gasping breath. 3 days since she'd escaped the church. 3 days since she'd run from the altar where Marcus Hendricks waited with his cruel smile and crueler hands. She'd rather die in these mountains than become his property. Before we continue with Sarah's journey, I'd love to ask you to take a moment to subscribe to the From Wild West channel and give this video a like. It truly means everything to us and motivates us to bring you more quality stories like this one. I'm also curious, where are you listening from today? Let me know in the comments. The cabin appeared like a mirage through the trees, solid, real, smoke curling from its stone chimney. Sarah's knees nearly buckled with relief, but caution held her back. She'd learned the hard way that shelter often came with a price, especially for a woman alone. Her trembling fingers found the gold locket at her throat, the last thing her mother had given her before the fever took her. It was all she had left of value in this world. She approached the door and knocked, each rap of her knuckles feeling like a confession of defeat. The man who opened it filled the doorway entirely. He stood well over 6 feet, with shoulders broad as an ox yoke and arms thick with muscle earned from years of mountain living. His dark hair fell past his collar, and a beard shadowed his jaw. But it was his eyes that stopped her, gray as storm clouds, but holding something unexpected: gentleness. "Please," Sarah whispered, her voice breaking. "I can pay." She fumbled with the locket's clasp. "It's gold, real gold. I just need—" "Put that away." His voice rumbled deep in his chest. Not unkind, but firm. He stepped aside, gesturing into the warm interior. "Come in before you freeze." Sarah hesitated, years of learned wariness making her pause. "I can work. I can cook, clean, whatever you need. I won't be a burden." "You're already half frozen and running from something." He crossed his arms, studying her with an intensity that made her feel exposed. "Only burden here is you standing in my doorway letting all the heat out. In, now." The warmth hit her like a physical force as she stepped inside. The cabin was simple, but well kept. A large main room with a stone fireplace, handcrafted furniture, shelves lined with books and supplies. Furs covered the floor, and the scent of wood smoke and coffee filled the air. Her legs gave out then, all the terror and exhaustion of the past days catching up at once. She collapsed onto the nearest chair, and to her horror, tears began streaming down her face. "Everything is different here," she sobbed, the words torn from somewhere deep inside her. Everything about this place, this moment, this strange, gentle giant of a man, it was all so far from the nightmare she'd been living. The mountain man moved with surprising grace for his size, kneeling before her so they were at eye level. His large, calloused hand carefully lifted her chin, forcing her to meet his gaze. "I'll give you protection," he whispered, his voice dropping to something almost tender. "And you'll rest in my arms." He brushed a tear from her cheek with his thumb. "But first, you'll tell me your name." "Sarah," she managed. "Sarah Brennan. Cole Thatcher." He stood, moving to the stove where a pot of stew simmered. "When's the last time you ate, Sarah Brennan?" She couldn't remember. Days, perhaps. her stomach cramped at the rich smell of the food. Cole ladled stew into a bowl and set it before her with a chunk of bread. Eat slow. Your belly's forgotten what food feels like. Sarah stared at the bowl, then at him. What do you want from me? His expression darkened, but not with anger, with understanding. Nothing you don't want to give. You're safe here. That's all that matters tonight. She ate slowly, as instructed, each bite bringing her back to life. Cole busied himself with small tasks, giving her space but remaining present. When she finally set down the empty bowl, he'd prepared a bedroll near the fire. "Take my bed," he said, nodding toward an alcove in the back of the cabin. "I'll sleep out here." "I can't. You can and you will." He fixed her with that steady gaze again. "Tomorrow we'll talk. Tonight, you rest." Sarah was too exhausted to argue. The bed was simple but clean, covered in soft furs. She lay down fully clothed, certain she'd be too afraid to sleep. She was wrong. Morning light filtered through the cabin's small window when she woke, disoriented and momentarily panicked. Then the previous night came flooding back. The flight, the cabin, Cole. She found him outside, splitting wood with an axe. Each swing was precise, powerful, the muscles in his back and arms moving beneath his shirt like coiled steel. He worked with the focused intensity of a man who found meditation in physical labor. He noticed her watching and buried the axe in the chopping block. "Coffee's hot. Biscuits on the stove." "Thank you." The words felt inadequate for what he'd given her. Safety, food, rest without expectation. For everything. Cole wiped sweat from his brow with his forearm. "You want to tell me what you're running from?" Sarah wrapped her arms around herself, the morning chill biting despite the sunshine. "My father, and the man he sold me to." Sold. The word came out flat, dangerous. Arranged marriage, they called it. But Marcus Hendricks paid a bride price, and my father took it gladly. She stared at the mountains surrounding them. "Marcus he likes to hurt things, animals, people. I saw what he did to his last wife before she disappeared." Cole's jaw tightened. "They'll come looking for you." "I know." Fear crept into her voice. "I just needed to get far enough away, somewhere they'd never think to search. I'm sorry I brought trouble to your door." "Stop apologizing." He moved closer, and Sarah forced herself not to flinch. He noticed, stopping just outside her space. "How long has someone made you feel like you need to apologize for breathing?" The question struck her like a physical blow. Years. Her whole life, maybe. "You're not property," Cole said quietly. "You're a person, a woman who had the courage to run, instead of accept what they tried to force on you. That takes more strength than most folks will ever have." Sarah felt something crack open in her chest, some long-frozen part of her beginning to thaw. "Why are you being kind to me? You don't even know me." "Don't need to know your whole story to see a woman worth saving." He picked up an armful of split wood. "Now come on. You said you could work. Let's see if you meant it." The next weeks fell into a rhythm that felt almost normal. Sarah proved herself capable. She could cook, mend, and wasn't afraid of hard work. Cole taught her other skills: how to shoot, how to track game, how to read the mountains and their moods. He was patient, never rushing, always respectful. When he stood behind her to adjust her grip on the rifle, he announced his presence first. When he handed her things, he made sure their fingers never touched unless she reached for the contact. Slowly, Sarah began to understand she was healing. "You're getting better," Cole observed one evening as she cleaned the rifle after target practice. They sat by the fire, the easy silence between them comfortable now. At shooting, at existing without fear. He poked at the fire with a stick. When you first got here, you moved like a beaten dog. Now you stand straighter. Look people, look me in the eye. Sarah set down the rifle. That's because of you. Because you never gave me reason to be afraid. That's just being decent. Shouldn't be remarkable. But it is. She turned to face him fully. In my world, it was. Cole's gray eyes found hers across the fire. The look that passed between them made Sarah's breath catch. It wasn't the first time she'd felt this pull toward him, this warmth that had nothing to do with the flames between them. Sarah, he started, then stopped, jaw working like he was chewing on words he couldn't quite spit out. What? Nothing, it's late. We should sleep. But Sarah wasn't ready to let it go. You're always doing that, starting to say something, then stopping. Why? Cole stood abruptly, the movement almost violent in its suddenness. Because some things are better left unsaid. What things? He turned on her then, and for the first time, she saw real emotion crack through his careful control. Things like how watching you smile for the first time damn near stopped my heart. Things like how I have to remind myself every morning that you're here to heal, not to be something else I want but can't have. Things like, he cut himself off, turning away. Go to bed, Sarah. She stood too, moving around the fire toward him. Cole, don't. His voice came out rough. I made myself a promise after Rachel died. No more caring that deep. No more letting someone in where they can destroy you when they leave. Rachel was your wife? Was. The word held oceans of grief. Pneumonia took her 3 winters back, left me with this cabin, these mountains, and a hole nothing's filled since. Sarah reached out, her hand hovering near his arm. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, that's why I know better than to. He finally looked at her, and the raw longing in his eyes made her stomach flip. You're gonna leave eventually, Sarah. When you're strong enough, when it's safe enough, you'll go find your life, and that's how it should be. I won't let myself hope for more than that. What if I'm already hoping? The words escaped before Sarah could stop them. Cole's expression cracked into something vulnerable, almost afraid. Don't say things you don't mean. I never say things I don't mean. Not anymore. She closed the distance between them, making the choice, taking the power. You taught me that. You taught me I get to choose what I want, who I want to be. Maybe I'm choosing this, choosing you. His hand came up, cupping her face with a gentleness that seemed impossible from such a large, strong man. I'm twice your age. I'm 24 years old, and I've survived things that would break most people. Stop making decisions for me. A sound escaped him, half laugh, half groan. You're fierce. You know that? You made me fierce. No, he said softly, his thumb tracing her cheekbone. You always were. You just needed someone to make you feel safe enough to show it. He kissed her then, or maybe she kissed him. Later, Sarah wouldn't be able to say who moved first. All she knew was that one moment they were separate, and the next his arms were around her, careful and strong, and exactly where she wanted to be. The kiss was gentle at first, testing, making sure. When Sarah pressed closer, Cole made a sound deep in his chest and pulled her against him properly. She felt small in his embrace, but not diminished, cherished. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Cole pressed his forehead to hers. You sure about this? Are you? I've been sure since the moment you walked through that door, looking like a half-drowned cat with more fight in her than sense. He pulled back to look at her. But that doesn't mean we rush. You've been through hell, Sarah. I won't be another man who takes from you. What if I want to give? His eyes darkened. Then we go slow, and if you change your mind at any point, you say so. No consequences, no anger. Understood? Sarah nodded, her heart so full it ached. This man, this good, careful, patient man. How had she gotten so lucky? That night, she slept in his arms for the first time. Just sleeping. Cole's large body curved protectively around hers, his steady breathing against her hair. It was the safest she'd ever felt. The trouble found them on a Tuesday morning in early May. Sarah was hanging laundry when she heard the horses. Her blood turned to ice. She knew that sound. 3 riders. Moving fast, with purpose. She ran for the cabin. Cole! He was already reaching for his rifle, having heard them too. Get inside. Stay down. It's them. I know it's them. Cole's expression went hard as granite. Then they're about to learn what mountain justice looks like. The riders crested the hill, Marcus Hendricks flanked by 2 of her father's ranch hands, exactly as Sarah had feared. Marcus rode at the center, dressed in expensive Eastern clothes that looked ridiculous in the wilderness, his blonde hair slicked back with pomade. Cole stepped out onto the porch, rifle held casually, but ready. Sarah watched from the window, her heart pounding. "Help you gentlemen with something?" Cole's voice carried across the clearing, deceptively friendly. Marcus dismounted, his thin lips curling in a smile that never reached his eyes. "We're looking for my fiancée, Sarah Brennan. Runaway bride, you might say. Don't know any runaways. Just me up here." "Now I think you're lying." Marcus took a step closer. "See, we tracked her to this area, and you're the only cabin for 20 miles. So I'll ask again, where's my property?" Cole's expression didn't change, but Sarah saw his finger move slightly on the rifle. "Nobody here but me. And if there was a woman here, she wouldn't be anybody's property. So I suggest you turn around and ride back down that mountain. I paid good money for that girl. Then you wasted it. Now leave. Last warning." Marcus's face flushed with anger. "You have no idea who you're dealing with. I own half the county down there, and I own every inch of this mountain. Leave." One of the ranch hands, a brutish man Sarah recognized as Clem, went for his gun. Cole's rifle cracked once, and Clem's hat flew off his head, the bullet missing his skull by an inch. The horses screamed and danced. "Next one goes through something more permanent," Cole said calmly. "Your choice." Marcus held up his hands, fury radiating from every line of his body. "This isn't over. I'll come back with the sheriff, with the army if I have to." "You do that, and I'll tell them about the woman running from a forced marriage to a man with a reputation for violence. See how that plays in front of a federal judge." For a moment, Marcus looked like he might charge at Cole anyway. Damn the rifle. Then his gaze shifted past Cole to the window, and his eyes locked on Sarah. The look on his face made her blood run cold. Possession, anger, and something darker. "I'll find you," he mouthed at her. Then he remounted, and the 3 men rode away, but not down the mountain, east, toward the other side. Cole waited until they were out of sight, then rushed back inside. "You all right?" Sarah was shaking. "He'll come back. He won't let this go." "I know." Cole set down the rifle and pulled her into his arms. "Which means we can't stay here. We need to move. Tonight." "Where?" "Deeper into the mountains. There's places even men like him won't follow." He tilted her face up. Together. We face this together. They packed quickly, taking only what they could carry. Cole led her through trails that seemed invisible to Sarah's eyes, higher and higher into the peaks. They walked through the afternoon and into the evening until they reached a small cave system Cole clearly knew well. "Emergency shelter," he explained, building a fire near the entrance. "I've got supplies cached here. We can wait them out." That night, huddled together against the mountain cold, Sarah finally let herself cry, not from fear, but from exhaustion, from anger that even here, even with Cole, she couldn't be free. "Hey," Cole murmured, pulling her closer. "We'll figure this out." "How? He won't stop. He'll hunt me forever." "Then we make sure you're someone he can't touch." Cole was quiet for a moment. Then, "Marry me." Sarah jerked back to look at him. "What?" "Marry me. Legal, proper, in front of witnesses. Once you're my wife, Hendricks has no claim. The law would be on our side." "Cole, you don't have to." "That's not why I'm asking." He cupped her face in both hands. "I love you, Sarah. Been fighting it for weeks, but I love you. I want you to be my wife because I can't imagine my life without you in it. The protection is just a bonus." Tears streamed down her face, but these were different. "I love you too, so much it terrifies me. Is that a yes?" She kissed him fiercely. "Yes, yes, yes." They held each other as the fire burned down, making plans, talking about the future. For the first time since fleeing the church, Sarah felt hope. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. The next morning, Cole went to scout their back trail. Sarah was boiling coffee when she heard the scream. A horse's scream, followed by shouts. She grabbed Cole's spare rifle and ran. She found them at the edge of a ravine. Marcus and his men had somehow tracked them, must have circled back in the night. Cole was on the ground, blood streaming from a gash on his head. Marcus standing over him with a pistol. "Going to shoot me in front of her?" Cole's voice was steady despite his injury. "That the kind of man you are? You took what's mine." Marcus cocked the pistol. "I'll take what's yours. Then I'll take her back where she belongs." Sarah's rifle came up, her hands steady. Every lesson Cole taught her coming back. Step away from him. Marcus turned, surprise flickering across his face before it hardened into contempt. "You won't shoot." The rifle cracked. The bullet hit the ground between Marcus's feet, close enough to spray dirt on his fine boots. "The next one goes through your knee," Sarah said calmly. "Then the other knee. Then we'll have a discussion about who belongs to who. Your choice." Clem made a move toward his gun. Sarah shifted her aim. "Don't." Cole used the distraction to sweep Marcus's legs, sending him sprawling. The pistol flew from his hand, disappearing over the ravine edge. Cole surged to his feet, blood still streaming from his temple, and planted himself between Sarah and the men. "You've got two choices," Cole said, his voice deadly quiet. "Leave now and never come back. Or stay, and I promise you'll regret it." But Marcus, pushed beyond reason by rage and wounded pride, charged. Cole met him head-on, and they went down in a tangle of fists and fury. The other two men started forward, but Sarah's rifle stopped them. "Stay," she ordered. The fight was brutal, but brief. Cole was bigger, stronger, and fighting for something more important than pride. When it ended, Marcus lay groaning in the dirt, his nose obviously broken. His fancy clothes torn and bloody. "Go," Cole said, not even breathing hard. "Take him and go. If I ever see any of you again, I won't be so merciful." The ranch hands dragged Marcus to his horse and rode away, this time not looking back. Sarah lowered the rifle, her hands finally starting to shake. Cole was beside her in an instant, pulling her into his arms. "You saved my life," he murmured into her hair. "We saved each other." She pulled back to look at the gash on his head. "Come on, you're bleeding everywhere." Back in the cave, Sarah cleaned and bandaged Cole's wound with steady hands. He watched her work, something like wonder in his eyes. "What?" she asked, tying off the bandage. "Just thinking about how the woman who walked into my cabin all those weeks ago wouldn't have recognized the woman sitting here now. That woman was scared and broken. That woman was brave and surviving. You just needed someone to see it." He caught her hand, pressing it to his chest over his heart. "You're magnificent, Sarah Brennan, and I cannot wait to make you Sarah Thatcher." They descended the mountain 3 days later, making their way to the town of Redemption in the valley. The circuit preacher was due through, and they were married in a small ceremony with the town's doctor and his wife as witnesses. Sarah wore a simple dress purchased from the mercantile, wild flowers in her hair that Cole had picked that morning. Cole wore his best shirt, cleaned and pressed, his hands shaking slightly as he slid a simple gold band onto her finger. "I promise," he said, looking into her eyes, "to honor you, protect you, and remind you every day that you're the strongest person I know." "I promise," Sarah replied, "to build a life with you, to stand beside you, and to remind you every day that you gave me back myself." They kissed as husband and wife, and Sarah felt the last chains of her old life fall away. 1 year later, Sarah stood on the porch of their cabin, their home now, watching the sunset paint the mountains gold and purple. Her hand rested on her swelling belly, feeling the flutter of new life within. Cole came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her, his hands covering hers. "What are you thinking about?" "Everything that brought me here. Everything that tried to break me, but made me stronger instead." She leaned back against his chest. "How I ran into these mountains, looking for escape, and found home instead." "Best day of my life, when you knocked on that door," Cole murmured, pressing a kiss to her temple. "Half frozen, terrified, and still the bravest person I'd ever seen." Sarah turned in his arms, cupping his bearded face in her hands. "Everything is different here," she said softly, echoing those words from their first night. "You gave me protection, let me rest in your arms, and showed me I was worth saving." "We saved each other," Cole corrected, just as he always did. "And we'll keep saving each other every day for the rest of our lives." As the sun set behind the mountains and the first stars appeared, Sarah kissed her husband and thought about the long road that had led her here, to this moment, this man, this life she'd fought for and won. Some journeys, she'd learned, required getting lost to find your way home. The winter came early that year, wrapping the mountains in a blanket of white that seemed to insulate them from the rest of the world. Sarah's pregnancy progressed beautifully, her body growing round with the life they'd created together. Cole became even more protective, if such a thing was possible, checking on her constantly and insisting she rest more than she worked. "I'm pregnant." "Not made of glass," Sarah protested one morning as Cole tried to take the water bucket from her hands for the 3rd time. "Humor me," he said, that crooked smile she loved so much, playing at his lips. "I've already lost one wife. I'm not taking any chances with you." The words, meant to be light, carried an edge of real fear. Sarah set down the bucket and pulled him close. "I'm not Rachel, and I'm not going anywhere. This baby and I are both fighters. We come from fighting stock." Cole buried his face in her hair, his large frame shaking slightly. "I dream about it sometimes, losing you, waking up and you're just gone." "Hey," she made him look at her. "I'm right here, solid, real, and I'm going to stay that way. Do you hear me?" He nodded, but she could see the shadow in his eyes. It was the only darkness between them, his fear of loss, the ghost of his first wife that sometimes haunted the edges of their happiness. That night, as they lay in bed, with his hand resting on her belly, feeling the baby kick, Sarah made a decision. "Tell me about her," she said quietly. "About Rachel." Cole tensed. "Sarah, I need to know, not because I'm jealous, but because she's part of your story, part of what made you the man I love. And I think you need to talk about her." For a long moment, Cole was silent. Then, slowly, the words began to come. She was a preacher's daughter from Virginia, came west with her family when the railroad pushed through. I met her at a church social. She was serving punch, and I knocked the entire bowl over, trying to talk to her. A sad smile touched his lips. She laughed instead of getting angry. That's when I knew. Sarah listened as Cole talked about their courtship, their wedding, the early years of their marriage. Rachel had been gentle, quiet, content with their simple mountain life. She'd wanted children desperately, but had trouble carrying them. 3 miscarriages in 4 years. The winter she died, she'd finally made it past the first few months. "We thought maybe this time," his voice cracked. But the pneumonia came fast. The baby died first, then she followed 3 days later. I couldn't save either of them. Tears streamed down Sarah's face. "Oh, Cole, I swore I'd never go through that again. Never love someone so much that losing them would destroy me." He turned to face her fully. "Then you showed up, and every wall I'd built came crashing down. You terrify me, Sarah Thatcher, because losing you would be worse than anything I survived before." Sarah took his face in both hands. "Then it's a good thing you're stuck with me. Because I'm not the dying type. I'm the surviving type. Remember? You said so yourself." "Promise me," Cole whispered. "Promise me you'll fight. No matter what happens, you'll fight to stay with me." "I promise. And you have to promise me something too. Anything. Promise me you'll stop letting fear steal our joy. Rachel's memory deserves better than that, and so does our baby." Cole's eyes widened, then filled with tears. He pressed his forehead to hers, and Sarah felt the last piece of him finally let go of the past. "I promise," he whispered. The baby came in late March, during a late spring snowstorm that seemed determined to prove Sarah right about being a fighter. But labor was long and difficult, with only Cole and his steady hands to help her through it. "Go slow," Sarah gasped during a particularly brutal contraction. "It hurts." "I know, darling, I know." Cole's face was pale with worry, but his hands remained steady as he supported her. "You're doing so well, so strong. Just a little more." "I can't." "Yes, you can. You're the strongest person I know. You've survived worse than this. Come on, Sarah, fight." And she did, with a final, primal scream that echoed through the cabin. Sarah brought their daughter into the world. The baby's first cry was the most beautiful sound either of them had ever heard. Cole cut the cord with shaking hands, then wrapped the tiny, red-faced infant in soft furs and placed her in Sarah's arms. "A girl," Sarah breathed, staring in wonder at the perfect little face. "We have a daughter." Cole knelt beside the bed, one large finger touching the baby's impossibly small hand. She gripped it immediately, her strength surprising. "She's perfect, just like her mother." "What should we name her?" Cole was quiet for a moment. Then, "Hope, if that's all right with you, because that's what you both gave me. Hope for a future I thought I'd lost." Sarah looked down at the baby, at Hope, and felt something settle deep in her soul. Hope Rachel Thatcher. So she carries both the future and the past. Cole's eyes filled with tears. "You'd do that? Name her after? She's part of your story too. And our daughter should know that love isn't diminished by honoring what came before. It's only made stronger." Cole kissed Sarah then, gentle and reverent, this woman who'd given him everything he thought he'd lost, and more than he'd ever dreamed of having again. Hope squirmed between them, making small mewling sounds, and they both laughed through their tears. "Welcome to the world, little one," Cole whispered, touching his daughter's head with infinite gentleness. "Your mother and I have so much to teach you." Hope was 3 months old when the stranger arrived. Sarah was hanging laundry, the baby sleeping in a basket nearby, when she heard the horse. Her hand immediately went to the rifle, leaning against the cabin wall, a habit that would never leave her. But this rider was different. A woman, Native American, riding a painted horse with skilled ease. She wore traditional buckskin clothing adorned with intricate beadwork, her long black hair braided and decorated with feathers. She was perhaps 40, her face marked by the kind of wisdom that came from surviving hard years. She raised one hand in greeting, the universal sign of peace. Cole emerged from the cabin, and something flickered across his face. Recognition, surprise, and something else Sarah couldn't name. "Winona," he said, the name both greeting and question. The woman dismounted with fluid grace. "Cole Thatcher. It has been many seasons. 5 years at least." Cole moved to Sarah's side, his hand finding hers. "Sarah, this is Winona. She's a healer from the Shoshone people. She tried to save Rachel." Understanding flooded through Sarah. This woman had been there during Cole's darkest moment. Winona's dark eyes moved to Sarah, assessing but not unkind. "You're the new wife. I heard stories of you in the villages. The white woman who faced down bad men with a rifle and no fear." "Stories travel far," Sarah said carefully. "Good stories do. Stories of strong women even farther." Winona's gaze shifted to Hope, sleeping peacefully. "And you have a daughter. May I?" Sarah hesitated only a moment before nodding. There was something about this woman that inspired trust. Winona approached the basket, looking down at Hope with an expression of such tenderness that Sarah's throat tightened. "She is beautiful, strong spirit. I can see it even now." "Why are you here, Winona?" Cole asked, not unkindly, but direct. "Because winter sickness comes early this year. Many people fall ill. My people, your people, all people. I travel to warn those in the mountains, to share medicine." She pulled a leather pouch from her saddlebag. "Also, I come because I heard Cole Thatcher has a wife and child now, and I wanted to see with my own eyes that he found happiness again." She turned to Cole, and Sarah saw emotion flicker across the older woman's face. "I could not save your first wife. It has haunted me. I see now that life gave you a second chance, and you were brave enough to take it. This makes my heart glad." Cole's voice was rough when he spoke. "You did everything you could for Rachel. I never blamed you." but I blamed myself. Winona touched his arm briefly. Now I see you both, and I know some things end so other things can begin. This is the way of the world. Sarah stepped forward. Will you stay? Share a meal with us? We'd be honored. Winona smiled, and it transformed her whole face. I would like that. They spent the afternoon together, Winona teaching Sarah about mountain herbs and their uses, showing her which plants could break a fever and which could ease a difficult birth. She held Hope with the practiced ease of someone who delivered hundreds of babies, cooing to her in Shoshone. As evening fell and Winona prepared to leave, she took both Sarah and Cole's hands in hers. The spirits smile on this family. You have both walked through fire and come out stronger. Your daughter will be the same, fierce, brave, unbreakable. Thank you, Sarah said, meaning it deeply, for everything, for trying to save Rachel, for coming here today. Winona squeezed her hand. You honor his first wife by loving him well and not fearing her memory. That is wisdom many women do not have. He chose well this time. After Winona left, Sarah and Cole stood together in the doorway, Hope nestled between them, watching the sun set over their mountains. I like her, Sarah said. She's remarkable. Saved my life once, when I was young and stupid enough to tangle with a grizzly. Cole pulled Sarah closer. I'm glad she came. It felt like, I don't know, like something finally came full circle. The past blessing the present, Sarah murmured. Something like that. Hope chose that moment to wake up, her tiny face scrunching in preparation for a cry. Cole took her gently, and Sarah watched her mountain man husband transform into the gentlest father, bouncing their daughter and singing a soft, wordless tune. This, Sarah thought, this was what she'd been running toward all along, even when she thought she was just running away. Hope was 6 months old when the letter came. The mail carrier from Redemption made the long ride up the mountain, looking exhausted and windburned. Letter for Mrs. Sarah Thatcher, he announced, pulling an envelope from his saddlebag. Came all the way from Boston. Must be important. Sarah's hands trembled as she took it. She recognized the handwriting. Her younger sister, Emma, who she hadn't seen or heard from since running away. Cole dismissed the mail carrier with thanks and payment, then turned to Sarah. You want privacy? No, stay. She broke the seal and unfolded the paper. The letter was short, written in Emma's neat, careful script. Dearest Sarah, I hope this letter finds you. I had to search for months to discover where you'd gone. Father is dead. His heart gave out last October. In his final days, he spoke of you, of regrets. His lawyer found papers showing Marcus Hendricks never actually paid any bride price. Father lied to force the marriage, and Marcus went along because he wanted you. Marcus himself is gone too. Tried to cheat the wrong men at cards, and was shot in a saloon in Denver. Good riddance. I'm writing because I want to see you again. I want to know my sister survived, that you found happiness. Please write back. Please tell me you're all right. All my love, Emma. Sarah read it twice, 3 times, trying to process the emotions swirling through her. Her father, dead. Marcus, dead. The 2 men who'd driven her into the mountains, both gone. She should feel something, relief, grief, vindication. Instead, she just felt empty of them, like they'd taken up space in her heart she'd already cleaned out and filled with better things. Sarah? Cole's voice was gentle. They're dead, both of them. She handed him the letter. My father and Marcus. It's over. Really, finally over. Cole read quickly, his expression darkening at certain parts, then softening at the end. Your sister wants to see you. I know. Sarah looked at Hope, playing with her toes on a blanket spread by the fire. Part of me wants to write back and pretend none of this ever happened, but she's my sister. She didn't do anything wrong. So we invite her here, Cole said simply. Let her meet her niece. Let her see you're not just all right, you're thriving. Sarah turned to him. Just like that? You'd welcome my family into our home? She's your family, which makes her my family. Besides, he gestured to the letter, this sounds like she's been searching for you for months. That's not the action of someone who wants to hurt you. Sarah thought about it, then moved to the desk where she kept paper and ink. Her hand shook slightly as she wrote, Dear Emma, I survived. More than survived. I found a life beyond anything I imagined possible. I'm married to a good man, and we have a daughter. Her name is Hope. Come visit us when the snow's clear. I want you to meet them. I want you to see that everything that tried to break me only made me stronger. Your sister, Sarah Thatcher. She included directions to the cabin and sealed the letter with wax. That night, as she lay in bed with Cole's arm around her and Hope sleeping in her cradle nearby, Sarah felt the last piece of her old life finally settle into place. Not forgotten, not erased, but integrated into who she'd become. Thank you, she whispered to Cole in the darkness. For what? For giving me a life worth inviting my sister into. For making me proud of who I am instead of ashamed of where I came from. Cole's arm tightened around her. You did that yourself, Sarah. I just gave you a safe place to become her. Emma arrived in late May, when the mountains were dressed in wildflowers, and the last of the snow had finally melted from the highest peaks. She rode up the trail on a hired horse, looking both terrified and determined. Sarah stood on the porch with Hope on her hip, and when she saw her sister, 3 years older now, more mature but still unmistakably Emma, something inside her cracked open. Sarah! Emma practically fell off the horse in her haste, running the last few yards. The sisters collided in a fierce embrace, both crying, both laughing, both trying to talk at once. You're alive! You're really alive! I missed you so much. I was so scared. I thought he'd killed you. I'm sorry I didn't write sooner. They pulled apart, and Emma's eyes widened as she took in Sarah's appearance. The fine clothes she'd bought with money from selling furs, the healthy glow in her cheeks, the confidence in her bearing, the beautiful baby in her arms. You look incredible, Emma breathed. Happy, so happy. I am. Sarah shifted Hope so Emma could see her better. This is Hope, your niece. Emma's face crumpled with emotion as she reached out to touch the baby's hand. She's beautiful. She has your eyes. And her father's stubbornness. Sarah turned as Cole emerged from the cabin, wiping his hands on a cloth. Emma, this is my husband, Cole. Cole had cleaned up for the occasion, wearing his best shirt, his beard neatly trimmed. He extended his hand. Ma'am, welcome to our home. Emma shook his hand, studying him with the frank assessment of a protective younger sister. Whatever she saw must have satisfied her, because she smiled. Thank you for taking care of my sister. Other way around, mostly, Cole said with that half-smile. She saved me more than I ever saved her. They spent the next 3 days together, and Sarah watched her sister transform from the frightened girl she remembered into someone stronger. Emma told stories of life after Sarah left, how she'd stood up to their father, how she'd refused to let him arrange a marriage for her too, how she'd finally left home and found work as a school teacher in a neighboring town. "You inspired me," Emma said one evening as they sat together watching the sunset. Cole had taken Hope inside for her evening feeding, giving the sisters time alone. "When you ran, you showed me it was possible to choose your own life. So I did." Sarah squeezed her sister's hand. "I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you too. When I think about what you survived, what you built here." Emma gestured to the cabin, the mountains, the life Sarah had created. "You're the bravest person I know. I had help." Sarah's eyes found Cole through the window, watching him gently rock Hope while singing to her. "He taught me I was worth saving, worth fighting for. He loves you. It wasn't a question. He does, and I love him, more than I thought it was possible to love anyone." Emma was quiet for a moment. Then, "Father really did regret it, you know, at the end. He kept calling for you, apologizing. The doctor said he'd been carrying guilt for years." Sarah processed this, trying to find forgiveness in her heart. "I hope he found peace. But his regret doesn't change what he did, what he tried to force me into. I know. I just thought you should know. Thank you." Sarah pulled her sister into another hug. "Thank you for finding me, for not giving up." When Emma left 2 days later, it was with promises to visit again, to write often, to be part of Hope's life as she grew. Sarah and Cole stood together, watching her ride down the mountain, Hope babbling happily in her father's arms. "She's good people," Cole observed. "She is. And now Hope will grow up knowing she has an aunt who loves her. Family that chose us, not blood that trapped us." Cole looked down at their daughter, then at Sarah. "Speaking of family, what would you say to giving Hope a sibling someday?" Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Someday? Or are you suggesting something more specific?" "Well," Cole's ears turned red, which Sarah found adorable. "I was thinking maybe we could start working on it. You know, when you're ready." Sarah laughed, pulling him close and kissing him thoroughly. "I'm ready. I've been ready. I want this house full of children, full of love, full of life." "Then we better get started," Cole murmured against her lips. That night, after Hope was asleep, they made love with the windows open to the mountain air, the sound of crickets and distant wolves providing a symphony. And Sarah thought about how far she'd come, from the terrified girl who'd knocked on this door, to the woman who now owned every inch of her life. She'd run into these mountains looking for escape, and found everything she never knew she needed. A partner, a home, a purpose, a fan. Some homes were worth every hard mile it took to reach them. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I'd love to know where you're enjoying this tale from. Are you listening at home, during your commute, or perhaps while working? Please subscribe to the From Wild West channel and share your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think of Sarah and Cole's journey? Your feedback means the world to us.